This is Don't Panic, episode number 364, recorded May 22nd, 2023. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Don't Panic. It's the technology podcast on gadgets, the internet, and YOU. That's right, you. I'm Sean Jennings, joined by two guys who have the solution to our looming debt crisis. They're going to hold an old-fashioned bake sale. It's Colby Rabidou and Dan Miller. Good evening, gentlemen.
Oh my gosh. If y'all were based in Seattle, I would pick, and I'll just talk about it now. I think I read some article where it was like, try this Seattle-based pizza. It's the best frozen pizza you've ever had. I was like, really? Eyebrow raised. Okay. So I ordered some. It is so good. It's sourdough pizza, which I'm not sure I've ever had before. Though, and as soon as I had it, I was like, how come not everybody isn't making sourdough pizza? It's so good. You bake it at like 500 degrees and it has a crispy crust. They have interesting toppings. It's not just cheese and pepperoni. They've got some, kind of unique, fun flavors, and they make them fresh every week, and then you get them delivered frozen to your door. It's amazing. Damn. So if you're looking for a new business idea in the Boston area, that's I think that is a thing that I think every major city is going to have eventually, because it's so much better than the store-bought pizza. It's better than some of the pizza restaurants that we like to just go to.
So they only deliver locally? Is that the idea?
That is correct.
And does it comes frozen, semi-frozen?
It comes frozen.
Okay. But it's fresh to frozen.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not like sitting in a warehouse for weeks before it gets to you. It's like they make it, they freeze it, and they ship it.
Yeah. Yeah, and they'll do cookies, and they do bread. They do all sorts of things like that. It's like, what if we had an industrial bakery in a warehouse in the industrial area and just sold everything that we baked and baked all sorts of stuff that people can't normally make themselves? It's great.
Is it delivered UPS, FedEx, local courier?
Just a guy, as far as I can tell.
That makes sense, because I was doing the math in my head, and I'm like, it would be ludicrously expensive to UPS ship, like, within a town, frozen goods.
No, and they just have a Shopify website. So this is like, the interesting things people do with technology, right? They have a Shopify website. You buy things as if you are buying a good that is going to be shipped to you. But during the checkout process, you need to acknowledge they don't put any fancy pants, dry ice, none of that. It's getting dropped off at your door, frozen in a bag. So you have to acknowledge the risk. You're like, I will be home to receive this delivery, and put it in the freezer immediately. And you have to tell them where you have to someone could write a program to do this, but they only deliver certain areas on certain days. And so you have to say, like, I live in this part of town, and I acknowledge that you're going to deliver it on Thursday.
That makes sense.
And some guy shows
now
up.
That's a good business.
Speaking of, so this is related. We've had a weird issue with some GPS system. It's definitely not Google Maps. And this was first service. When did this first come up? Very early on, we got delivered of furniture or something, and someone was like, "Oh boy, yeah." And this is funny because it's happened to us at our last place too. The GPS sent me to completely other, the other side of town. I was like, "That's weird." And then this time, when the first pizza delivery came, they use like an app called Courier or something. So you send you a text message like, "Hey, your courier is on the way," and then it brings you to a tracking page. In the tracking page, it had the correct address. All of the words were correct. The pin on the map was completely wrong. It was like it was all the way on the end of this street, right before it gets to the ocean. There are no houses there either. So luckily, it's as soon as you arrive, you're like, this doesn't seem like a house that I should be delivering things to.
So,
but it's not Google Maps.
It's the right street. It's
the correct street, wrong number.
Oh, I wonder if your street was at one point renumbered.
That's possible. I have noticed there's lots of things here where the street stops, and then you realize it doesn't actually stop. It's just interrupted by a cliff, and then the street continues somewhere else. But so what could it be? Because it's not Google Maps. Is it like OpenStreetMap? It's, Apple Maps isn't certainly the thing that's powering all these delivery services. Is it TomTom?
I know Waze is owned by Google, but they weren't originally. Do they run their own maps?
I don't know. I've been wondering how separate those things are. Because I've been trying to reproduce it and I can't. Because if I feel like if I could reproduce it, I would certainly try to contact whatever company it is because it's a huge pain in the ass. Oh right, the plumbers are in the totally wrong area. They called us. They're like, "Where are you? Where's your house?" It's like, I don't get it. Now I think it might be like I think our legal address is, I won't say it on the air, but it has a W in it. It's not West, it's W. And so I wonder if that could be screwing people up because you wouldn't say W, you might say West. But why would that be ambiguous? There's not like, what other W could there possibly be? Anyways,
tough one.
I think I will look up. Let me try OpenStreetMap. That's a thing that you can.
Well, you're looking that up. I live on something road, and right around the corner is the same name, but it's something Trace, which I never Trace as a suffix. I didn't even know was a thing, but and I've gotten like Facebook Messenger. Oh, I'm here to pick up the chair, and I said, you definitely are at the wrong house, lady. You want? I always direct them in that way, and yeah, they've gotten a few of mine.
This happens to us too. What is happening? Oh, never mind. I was going to demonstrate on Google Maps, but so my address is in East. It's my street East, and a quarter of a mile away, there's the same number address on the same street, but the street is West. It's like a mirror image of my street. Like you like cross the kitty corner, like cross a road and go, a quarter of a mile. And that's where, Sean, we walked by this place when you were visiting for my birthday. That's where like 1 to 2 times a month something for us gets delivered, to the point where like a woman who lives there like found Laura's number on a packing slip on a package once and will now text her like every time.
You got to be good neighbors about that. I used to, the folks on Trace, a little girl used to come up with her mother. She was so excited. Here's your package. She loved it. It was great. I grew up on a 6.5 was my childhood address because 6 and 8 were there, and then they built a house in between them.
Really? That's
and they
cool.
didn't want to read. No, well,
I thought that only happened in New York
but
City, and I wasn't ever sure if those were legal addresses. I thought it was just the landlord being cute.
I lived in the middle of nowhere, but no, they built it between a 6 and an 8, so it was 6.5, and it messed up our mail all the time.
Wow.
All the time. Not advisable, but memorable.
Yeah, that is rare in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, because the house was kind of behind 6, but the driveway kind of went between 6 and 8, but it was still like it connected to the same road. So it was 6.5.
That's funny. I'm looking at my street, and OpenStreetMap gets it correct, but also gives me tons of detail on this map. And I can see that all of the houses on our street have at least one number in between them, both on the even and odd side, just in case.
I wonder if it was renumbered at one point.
Maybe. Yeah, it's surprising because the house that I live in was originally part of a house near us. So it's incredible that they had enough foresight to be like, what if there was another house sometime in the future that is put between these two houses, which are already subdivided? That would be an incredible amount of foresight.
I always wondered if there was a standard, like, you're chopping up pieces of land. Like, how far apart do they count the numbers? Like, are the numbers measured? Or is it just...
It does seem like in the newer neighborhoods, it's all 4 digits. Have you noticed that?
They're prepared.
No, 1600,
1602. I've seen 5-digit, by the way. I've seen 5-digit addresses. Then I'm like, you're in some kind of development from hell. At that point, if you need 5 digits for your address, man, that's just too much.
That's pretty crazy.
Well, interesting. The streets that run north-south here seem to have, I never noticed this until looking at the map, 4-digit addresses, but west to east always has 3-digit addresses.
Dan, you're like one step away from a
Oh,
national
you know what?
treasure
Actually,
discovery here.
I get it. The west to east streets are shorter than the north-south streets. They have fewer houses on them because they're rectangular blocks. That's why.
Wild.
Learning so many things.
Yeah. And here's a house. Here's a building that has 4 addresses associated with it. Oh, man. So interesting. Riveting podcast radio.
Well, I can pivot the subject. I got bit by a woodchuck.
That's a hard pivot.
That's a hard. I just went right for it.
What?
I
A
got I got
groundhog?
bit. I don't know if you can. It's healing a little bit there, but
What?
you can kind of see. Yeah,
Were you flipping it off?
I should have. In retrospect, I
Were
should
you
have.
chucking at the bird?
No, but it did end up getting chucked. I'll tell you. No, I was in a parking lot with my mother, walking towards the car, and a car had like backed out of a spot and started to drive away. And what had been under the car was not a baby, but a very young woodchuck was just sitting there. I would have just walked by and not given a shit because I'm a mature adult. But my mother said, "Oh my God, we got to do something. Someone's going to hit it." I was like, "Oh my God, you got to be kidding me." So I'm like, I don't know what the hell. So I kind of go up to it and I try and like shoo it towards the grass and the thing won't move. It just won't. I basically walk right up to it and then it runs over to my feet. Like I'm protecting it, like a car over it, I guess. I don't know. It's scared. But no matter what I do, I just cannot get it to move. And there's like cars all around and traffic, and we're like in the way, and we look like lunatics. And instead of doing the smart thing, which is stop and assess the scene for a moment, I say, fuck it, and I just pick it up.
Check the scene for safety.
Yeah, I should have done that. I had a blanket in the car I could have used. I had many options. I just say, screw it. I go and I pick it up with both hands. And my thought was, well, it was calm near my feet. It seemed comfortable around people. I'll just pick it up and carry it over. Well, of course, what do you... The thing just starts going nuts in my hands. And then I'm like, well, but the way I have it, you know, they don't have like long necks. I'm like, there's no way. Of course, the thing gets around and it's got those 2 little really sharp teeth in the front. Oh boy, does that thing freaking hurt. So I'm like, and of course, I don't immediately drop it. So I'm like carrying it as it's like biting me. I'm like, then finally I kind of like chuck it the final 2 or 3 feet onto the grass. And the thing just stood there and seemed very confused. So
That's incredible.
and my mother laughed and she thought it was hilarious.
Did she take a video?
That was the one thing I told her after. I said, if you had taken a video, at least it would have been worth it. And instead, this was stupid, and now I might have rabies. So
that was my follow-up question.
That was going to be my next question, too. Yeah.
Do you have to get rabies shots?
Have to is a strong word. Did I? No. So we'll find out how this works out. The thing didn't seem rabid. Although I did learn that woodchucks actually carry a specific disease that if you get bit and contract it, you actually get severe flu-like symptoms. Thankfully, I've been fine. This was on Thursday, so I think the worst has passed.
Wow. That would be wild if one of the hosts of Don't Panic died of rabies.
Well, and I'm like, at least it'd be memorable. I saw my coworkers. They're like, well, we remember you as the guy who got rabies and died. One of like 10 people a year who die from rabies.
Have I told you all the story that I think this record has now been broken again, but for a while I knew and was on a trip with a person who, while they were on that trip, was the first person in some amount of years in the United States to contract the bubonic plague.
Wow.
No. Okay. Yeah. We were on a Boy Scout trip, and at night, this was in the Grand Teton National Forest in Wyoming, I think. And at night, you could hear the wolves howling, and they're killing shit. And in the morning, we would go out and we were doing stuff. We were taking down, we were doing like work, and you'd find the meal just around. And apparently I saw this once from a distance. I was like, whoa, that's gross. But also, wow, they don't leave a lot behind. They use every part of the buffalo, as it were. But then, a couple weeks later, it was all over the Connecticut news. Local Boy Scout contracted bubonic plague from getting too close to one of these mostly eaten piles of bones. And that was the first case in like many decades. I'm pretty sure I remember reading since that the bubonic plague has happened a couple times in the U.S. since then.
Is this when you boldly confess to the world that you're the one who pushed him into the pile of, and it was you who did it?
No,
all those years ago.
I was not there, from what I remember. Oh, here you go. There's a whole CDC website on this.
Is that like, did he touch the bones?
Probably.
They're just splattered.
Reported cases 1970 2020. There's only one in Connecticut. I know that guy.
I know that guy.
Wow. That's gross.
Yeah. The map is interesting. It's like all West US.
Yeah, the west of the United States is like Australia, where it's like there's just a lot of stuff that'll kill you. That's why we kind of stay here in New England, where we know it's nice and safe.
I'm knock on wood. I haven't seen anything here that will kill me yet.
Well, but that's what I was saying is I'm not like squeamish around like spiders or anything. Like it really doesn't bother me if there's one, like I'll just shoo it out, whatever. But if there was, I guarantee you, if there was like a reasonable size enough snake, I would just pick it up and like toss it into the woods or something. Like it was only a matter of time before I did something stupid.
I feel like you just need a pair of gloves or something. Like if you had a pair of gloves.
Well, there was a whole sheet in the car, in the trunk. I could have just like used that. Or I could have, honestly, it was just going to sit there and it was very noticeable. It's not like you were going to accidentally hit it, but my goodness, my usual, I feel like most of the time I get in trouble because my MO is how can I get out of this situation as quickly as possible? And that's exactly, and I said, what is the literal fastest way to get this groundhog out of this parking lot? To pick it up and move it. Didn't work for me.
I'm on the bubonic plague Wikipedia. It's spread by infected fleas who might be attracted to the corpses.
Sure. I see. That makes sense. So I see how, like, if you were near a pile of bones, you might get some
recently there. A live creature less than 24 hours ago.
Right. It's moving of its own accord.
Nasty.
Gross.
What else is going on, gentlemen?
We the Don't Panic podcast received some follow-up via my email. My friend Jim, who went to RC and also worked at Spotify at the same time I did, emailed me to say that he emailed about Dan's budgeting apparatus, and he emailed to say that he knows of one budgeting app that does the thing Dan was describing, which is like when you log in and it prompts you with like to like you do some like swiping categorization thing. He said it's called You Need a Budget. Why?
Okay, I've heard of this.
Referred to as YNAB.
I've heard of this. I didn't know you could log into your bank account with it.
Yeah, apparently it connects. He said it connects with like Plaid, the thing that all the things use.
What?
I think he said in parentheses, if you don't want to connect Plaid to your bank account, then it's not for you. But it imports your debits and credits like automatically, and then when you open the app, it like makes you classify them. So thanks, Jim. Also, I will answer your email. It's in the list. I just haven't. It was nice to hear from you.
That is so sweet. Listen, Big Jim, you're this week's Don't Panic Listener of the Week. Congratulations. Well done. The only person who listened. No, we appreciate it. That's wonderful to hear.
I'm going to try this out and report back.
I think you should, because I've considered it before.
I will be
tried
sad
doing
if this does do
other
everything I
things.
want, because then I have to retire my terrible HTML 1.0 website
Oh
I
no,
worked so hard on.
technology is obsolete.
Yeah.
Nice budgets.
Well, I do have a not purely tech related, but I guess pivoting more into our space. I've made a life altering decision, gentlemen.
Go on.
I'm finally ready to retire my computer chair. Now, this thing is over 15 years old, and it frankly hurts to sit in.
Wow.
Sure.
There's nothing left. Now, I may have told the story on the show of how I got the chair. If I haven't, I will tell it again briefly. Back
don't
in
remember.
back in high school, a family friend Larry used to run a survivor pool based on the TV show where you would buy in and you would pick how people would do on the show, and then you'd win money if you did well. And I went to Larry and I said, these shows are all taped ahead of time. So if you look hard enough, somebody on the production spoiled it somewhere in the throes of the internet. What happened? Like, you can Google ahead of time. I went to Larry and I said, listen, Larry, I'm an honest guy. Your rules for the pool do not explicitly state no spoilers. So I'm going to recommend you add that. If you add that to the list of rules, I will not use any spoilers, I promise. But if you don't add it, I'm telling you, it's then technically within the rules and I will do it. And Larry said, well, first of all, I don't really believe in those things, and whatever, you do whatever you want. Okay, Larry, I won the pool 2 years back to back because I used spoilers. Those proceeds helped buy this chair. So it wasn't cheating. I gave Larry the opportunity to fix the rules and he declined. In the only way I know how. But I'm in a bit of a conundrum because everywhere I Google online basically says if you don't spend like $500+ on a chair, you're not going to be happy. But the problem is I don't work full time from home. I only use this chair a couple of times a week for like doing this show. So I don't want to spend a ludicrous amount of money on a chair. I do want to get something that's going to be comfortable and reasonably last. So I was wondering if you two, as guys who do spend a lot of time in your at-home computer chairs, have any advice, any features you like, anything I should be on the lookout for in terms of a chair when I go shopping.
I like adjustable armrests, like that go up and down. I also like, I don't know, the chair I have, the armrests, in addition to going up and down, they like go this way and this way, which this way I don't think I care about so much, but I do like the this way. That's nice. And the up and down is crucial. I have different up and down heights for different activities.
Are you a constant adjuster? I know those people in the office who are always adjusting the height.
Just my arm, just my arms. The rest of the chair I have never adjusted since I purchased it. But the arms I adjust all the time. A, because it's very easy. I don't have to like get out of the chair to do it. I can just like reach back and like, you know. But I do like that because like when I'm typing, I need them very low because otherwise I end up like I'll lean in a weird way and then I end up hurting. But like when I'm doing other stuff, I'm just like hanging out, talking to you guys, for example. I like to have a little arm support so I can get loose.
Okay, sure.
I know. I just that's the part of my all day office chair that I use the most is the arm adjustments.
I don't have great advice on this because I bought my first office chair in 2020 when I was like, well, I'm not going to an office anytime soon. I'm going to buy an office chair. So I just went to Wirecutter, bought the office chair that they recommend. I don't know if it is certainly more comfortable than the folding chair that, if you look at this podcast 4 years ago, that was the chair I was sitting in. It's certainly more comfortable than that. And it's more comfortable than the 70s era little swivel chair that was in the apartment before that, which isn't saying much. I guess my piece of advice, I'm happy with this office chair. but I do wonder, is it the most comfortable office chair for me? I have no idea. I just bought it and it seems fine. So I would recommend going to a physical store where you can try
Yeah.
chairs.
Mm.
Otherwise, I don't know. It's so much personal preference, right? Like there's the Aeron chair that everybody loves, but I think that one's a little scratchy. Not all fabrics that you might wear on your body work well with that chair.
Sure.
It's very catchy.
Yeah, my father bought for his home office the cheapest chair, like the Amazon Basics office chair.
Yeah.
That thing is actually literally uncomfortable. I will say there is a low point when it comes to these chairs. It's pretty rough. So the current chair I have is 0% adjustable. Other than the height, it's all fixed in place. The angle and the armrests and the whole thing. So I think I'm going to try and get something a little more customizable. And the other thing is it's all this heavy fabric like the whole way. And so probably something with the breathable mesh is probably going to be more of the direction, so it's a little more comfortable. But I like the high back. That is one thing that this chair has. Is I like that. Not that I really ever use it, but the cat sits up there, so I can't get rid of it.
Nice. I had an IKEA office chair once that was like, it was not bad. That was pre work from home days though, so I don't know if it would have stood up to all day every day.
Yeah, and I think the 90s are going to call, and I'm going to have to go to Staples and actually sit in some office chairs, unfortunately, like the good old days, and see what I like and don't like. I should just see, because I like my office chair provided by the company. I know it's not, because we don't buy nice furniture, so maybe I just got to find out where they bought that.
You could just do a heist.
Just borrow it.
That one.
Someone stole my chair.
I came in this morning. My chair's gone. Who took my chair? That's a thing that happens. Like chairs get moved around.
I will tell you, when we got sent home, like the first time during the pandemic, and we knew we would come back eventually, but we just didn't know when. I saw people taking things out of the office that they had no business taking. I saw moving trucks worth of stuff coming out of that office, and I don't know how much of it ever came back. So, wow. I'm sure we've got enough chairs around.
When we left at Robin, when we left, I they told us like it's gonna be a little while probably. It was like 2 weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
We thought when it first started. And like a lot of people took stuff, but I just like I don't know. I guess I just wasn't thinking about it. I left like my keyboard and stuff. And then 2 years later or whatever, when I went back to the office, like they was still there. It was, and actually it wasn't on the desk still. It had gotten like packed up in a box with my name.
Yes.
On it. There was like a lost and found of crap that people left on their desks 2 years prior. But I did get it back, and it's the keyboard I type on every day now.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I think I told on the story on here of the mini fridge we had that had food in it that we forgot to empty, and then the fridge also died. And we got back and we're like, what is that smell? And all the food was like green. It was awful. And I was mad about that. We had to toss that.
That's upsetting.
And I told my team they got to work harder if they want to get a replacement mini fridge. It's a privilege, not a right. Guys, we actually do have some tech news in the rundown this week. Kind of a interesting mix of stories here from a bunch of different areas of technology and not technology things. While you guys are looking and deciding what story we're going to talk about first, I want to thank everybody who's watching us live right now on the Triplecast, YouTube, Twitch.tv, and Facebook. You can join us on all those platforms live Monday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. We'd love to see you there. Guys, where are we going to start?
I know what I want to start with.
Well, don't be shy.
The condiment story.
Yes! This one came up on Twitter, and I had to Instapaper it because I'm like, we're definitely going to talk about this on the show.
That was possibly the most 2010 sentence you've ever said.
I still live there. Oh boy. I'm sorry. What are the cool kids using that I'm way behind? I sent it to my Yahoo Mail account.
Right.
And then I posted it to MySpace. No, really, what should I be using to save my Twitter things?
No, I think, just both of those companies are just companies that people don't necessarily talk about. I guess people still talk about Twitter, but not in the same way. It's just a very
instantaneous paper.
So bad. It's not even a good service. Anyway, our good friends at the corporate behemoth Kraft Heinz has announced the debut of the Heinz Remix, a digital sauce dispensing machine capable of serving over 200 unique condiment condos, being unveiled this week at the National Restaurant Association show. Guys, I'm sure you're familiar with the Coke Freestyle, a machine that lets you mix and match all the different Coke flavors with various flavored syrups. This is that, but for condiments. Alex Kleinerman, Vice President of Disruption at Kraft Heinz, that's a real thing, said, quote, "With Heinz Remix, it's more than a sauce dispenser. It's an insights engine and business model enabler that will help Kraft Heinz understand and respond to consumer trends and flavor preferences in real time. Who knows? Maybe our next new sauce combination will come from a super fan using Heinz Remix." How does it work? Remix starts with 4 base sauces: ketchup, ranch, 57 sauce, and barbecue sauce. From there, the bases can be, quote, enhanced with 1 or more flavors, such as jalapeno, smoky chipotle, buffalo, and mango. Users can also customize the intensity of the flavors by selecting low, medium, or high. Heinz says it's a great opportunity for them to test in restaurants. It's the only place you'll be able to get these, and then use that data to create future condiments they may sell in stores. Guys, what crazy condiment combination would you come up with?
So is this like the Coke machine at McDonald's where you interact with it yourself, or is this something that the back of house people will be interacting with?
Nope, you're exactly right. It's exactly like the Coke machine, big touch screen, you the consumer. They have a picture of it here in the article, and you'll be able to tap which sauce you want to start with, and then it'll kind of squirt out your condiment. Get excited. It's the future.
Actually, this is only 10% related to this. Recently, we needed mayonnaise for something, and we were at a Japanese grocery store, and they did not have mayonnaise. They did not have the mayonnaise that you would expect, but they did have Japanese mayonnaise. And then we Googled it, and it's a whole thing. Japanese mayonnaise is a whole thing. It's very different. So we got it, and we used it in our sandwiches, and it is way better. It's much more umami-ish and less sweet, more kind of interesting tasting. So if you're ever in a grocery store that carries Japanese mayonnaise, check it out.
That is very interesting. I do find a lot of mayonnaise is too sweet, so that is interesting. Yeah. So, guys, would you try the Heinz Remix here? That excites you?
Absolutely.
I would definitely try it. What is 57 sauce?
I was gonna.
So 57 sauce, it is a Heinz product that's been around for a long time. It certainly isn't new. It's their steak sauce.
Oh.
Kind of like A1.
Sure.
It's a vinegar based.
How many flavors profess to have again?
That is a good question.
Nice.
I'm going to go to the Heinz website and go to products.
57 varieties. That's what I thought.
Yes, but
So
what are they?
It's the 57 sauce. Well, fun fact, if you're ever in Pittsburgh, there is a Heinz museum that you can go to, and they have
Ooh.
all sorts of interesting things. They had something on this. I forget what the answer is.
That sounds incredible. I'm on the Heinz website. And yeah, they because the other thing they're doing, if you guys have seen this, is their combination sausage, like honey racha and cranch, which is ketchup ranch and mayo must and mayo chup and Mayoracha, which I think lends well to the remix concept.
Sure. I mean,
Now,
I would use this thing if I came across one at a McDonald's or something.
Absolutely.
But see, I'd be like, I think it's easier to mess this up than the Coke Freestyle. Like, I feel like the Coke Freestyle, it's like the flavors are like raspberry and vanilla, and you're like, okay, even if I like put the raw, it's still gonna be sweet and taste good.
It's all sugar, yeah.
Yeah, but with this, it's like I'm gonna do 57 sauce with mango, and it's like, no way, come on, stop that. That's not gonna be good.
Maybe there are safeguards in place. Like,
It's like too much. Stop.
Warning.
Danger.
Right.
Cyber
Yeah.
code. Well, and you can select the flavor intensity, low, medium, high. Maybe there's like a secret menu where you can go up to like extreme and really.
Right.
Oh my God, there's gonna be
Put in,
secret
like,
menus
code
for
on
this thing,
it.
isn't there? And they're gonna like name them, and it's gonna be a whole. Because there's a secret menu for Coke Freestyle, or like of certain beverages that like have names and that people like to make.
Right.
Like well-known freestyles.
Yeah, it's kind of like a animal style or something. It has names, but you got to be in the know to know it.
Sure.
Did you know I'm on the Heinz Wikipedia page as you do on this show? In October 2013, fast food chain McDonald's announced it would end its 40-year relationship with Heinz after the former Burger King chief Heese became its CEO. Did you know this? What the hell do they serve at McDonald's now?
Well, what year was that?
2013.
Yeah, they now have fancy ketchup. You've never had McDonald's fancy ketchup?
I guess I have, and I didn't know it.
If you look up,
I would be shocked if I had it. I've definitely had breakfast at McDonald's in that time. I can't say that I've had any other meal at McDonald's in that time.
So here's an article from Mashed.com titled "The Real Reason McDonald's Stopped Serving Heinz Ketchup." You're right; it was the Burger King connection. But according to this, oh boy, there's a lot of article here. I don't think I can scan and read this fast enough to give you the actual answer. But it was always funny to me. They call it fancy ketchup, which I thought was very funny.
McDonald's, is it McDonald's fancy ketchup?
Yes.
Huh. That's so
How is
interesting.
McDonald's? Let's see. Fancy ketchup is U.S. grade A ketchup that has good color, good consistency, good flavor, and free of defects. It must also have at least 33% tomato solids, making it thick enough to stay in place on your food.
You gotta get those solids.
Heinz is also fancy ketchup. Here you go. Here's the difference. McDonald's ketchup consists of tomato concentrate from red ripe tomatoes, distilled vinegar, high fructose corn syrup, water, salt, natural flavors. Heinz doesn't have the water, and Heinz contains onion powder and spice, while McDonald's does not. So McDonald's is a little thicker, and Heinz has a little more spice to it.
Here's another one of my favorite quotes from this Wikipedia article. In 2001, Heinz acquired the pasta sauce, dry bouillon, and soup business of Borden Foods. CEO William Johnson stated that, quote, "They fit very well with our tomato-based expertise."
Hell yeah, food is so fascinating to me. You know what else, not to keep on this topic, we might just talk about this the whole show. Are you guys familiar with Icy?
No, what's that?
Like the slushy drink,
Oh,
Icy?
yeah.
And are you familiar with Slush Puppy?
Hell yeah.
Yes.
Do you know that they're owned by the same company?
That is not
What?
surprising. That
Isn't
seems
that-
like the
But they
Girl
started
Scout
as
cookie thing.
well. They
Yeah.
started as separate companies, and
Mhm.
then got bought by the same J&J Snack Foods. By the way, I learned this today. They're the same company that owns Super Pretzel, the soft pretzel brand, Dippin' Dots, Luigi's Italian Ice, and a bunch of other of those type of brands. But do you know what the difference is between an Icy and a Slush Puppy? I did not know this.
No.
An Icy is technically carbonated,
Huh.
Weird.
whereas the Slush Puppy is not.
I never noticed that. Yeah, you just named a bunch of brands like, mall, food court.
Oh,
dessert.
stadium kind of. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Apparently it's very lucrative.
I always thought like slush puppies, they had a like more granular ice texture.
Yes, because I think that was part of what the carbonation was doing, was lightening it up a little bit, getting some air in to the crystals. The other big difference was that Icy was usually pre-mixed with flavors, where Slush Puppy usually came ice only, and then you would add the syrup on top of it.
Right.
That is a classic New England item
Yeah.
right there.
The one convenience store in our town had slush puppies.
Basically a shaved ice machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I super want one now.
I don't know last time I had one. Slush Puppies and penny candies. They still had back when I was a child.
Wow. Wild.
We are off topic here. Anyway, so look for a Heinz remix coming to a food location near you. Absolutely wild. Are there any other foods you guys would like to see in a customizable touchscreen kiosk?
Nachos?
Okay, that could be fun. Ice cream, or at least ice cream toppings.
I mean, slushies,
That's a
or
good
did
idea.
you know?
That's a great one.
We used to do this at Boy Scout summer camp. There was a machine, with n number of nozzles, each of which had some sort of flavor, and if you could convince the person working the counter, you could convince them to combine multiple flavors into one. One of which was rumored to like kill you, basically. I forget what it was called. Death slushy, I think, maybe.
We used to go to Cumberland Farms for that, where they had it was like $1 or something. Some
yeah.
stupid price for a cup that was like this big. And they had like a soda fountain and like slushy machines that you got to serve yourself. And so you could combine those liquids.
Yeah, Dan, I think what you're thinking of is a suicide. Is that because that's where you do one of every flavor and they call it a suicide.
Okay, that could be right. Yeah.
Yeah, that is an actual thing. Yeah, absolutely terrible. I would love to see a oh crap, I forgot what I was gonna say. Anyway, we've got more tech news of the rundown. Any other stories in here you guys wanna? We got the fun one out of the way. There's some other interesting ones. Tick, tick, tick.
Oh, sorry, I got distracted looking at slushy.
Oh, we can keep talking about slushy. I got no problem with that.
The thing I want to talk about that seems important, but I haven't read the article, is the privacy fine to Facebook, formerly Meta, formerly known as Facebook.
Record breaking.
Record breaking. That's right. I hope you guys got $1.3 billion between the couch cushions. Meta's been hit with a record-breaking fine by EU data regulators and has been ordered to stop transferring the Facebook data of EU citizens to the U.S. The EU courts believe such transfers expose U.S. citizens to privacy violations. The ruling was made by Ireland's Data Protection Commission, which said that the current legal framework for data transfers does not address the risks to the fundamental rights and freedoms of the EU users and violates GDPR, their privacy law. Last year, Meta said it would be forced to consider shutting down Facebook and Instagram in the EU if it wasn't able to send data back to the US, but apparently the EU didn't really buy that. The Meta has now been ordered to stop these data transfers, although there are a few cutouts. The ruling only applies to data from Facebook specifically, not other Meta companies like Instagram and WhatsApp. Second, there's a 5-month grace period before Meta has to stop future transfers and a 6-month deadline to stop holding current data in the U.S. And third and most important, the EU and U.S. are currently negotiating a new deal to transfer data that could be in place as early as this summer and late as October. So is it really going to change anything? Probably not. But the EU did get $1 billion plus out of Meta, so yeah, they did okay.
Is Apple still paying the like $10 million a week fine the Netherlands? Do we know?
I don't know. This article does say the previous EU record of $746 million was levied against Amazon in 2021 for a similar privacy violation.
Oh no, that's right. They did eventually change their policy. In fact, there's a whole Apple developer support article. I'll put it in the Don't Panic Slack about how to distribute dating apps in the Netherlands.
Nice.
It's funny. I wonder how many millions of dollars that cost Apple. That's so funny.
Yeah, I think the better question is, do they care?
Presumably
Yeah.
not. This is actually a kind of an interesting article. Like they even give you like, here's the copy you should use in English and in Dutch to explain why you go to another website to complete this transaction. Download design specifications. I will download these. Wow, it comes in a zip.
Yes, please.
What is in
big
here?
Zip. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. We're going to have WWDC coming up in a couple weeks here with a new version of iOS and potentially some rumors around them opening up the platform based on some of these laws and lawsuits. And I do wonder if some of this is a test run, if you will,
Yeah.
of the type of information they'll have to provide to all of their developers.
Well, it's interesting. When you download this design spec, it doesn't say that it's only for dating apps in the Netherlands. It is an external purchase modal sheet. I put the picture in the.
Oh, look at that.
Don't Panic.
That is a
Slack.
great modal sheet.
Oh, hot damn.
So there you go.
Wow. So modal.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So there you go. 1.3 billion, but doesn't seem like it's going to stop them. They're off the hook for the next 6 months, and by then there'll probably be a new pact in place. The previous pact between the ESA and EU, known as Privacy Shield, was declared invalid in 2020 after the EU's top court found it did not protect data from being scraped by U.S. surveillance programs. So when this new law goes into place, it won't really matter. So. There you go. All right. Well, guys, unless there's another story in here you really want to talk about, we can pivot on over to picks if that's all right.
Oh, no.
I will take that as a resounding yes, guys. It's time to get to picks. It's the part of the show where we just bring something we want to share with the world, and we've got an interesting mix here. I will go first and work my way down the list. I was surprised I hadn't picked this before. I actually did a search across our hundreds of spreadsheet tabs and realized we've never had the word Scream ever in our spreadsheet. Not once. Very interesting. Guys, this may be one of the ugliest websites you've ever seen. Has not changed since the early 2000s. Screamscape.com. I am a nerd about many topics, one of which is theme parks. I find them very interesting, especially how they change and what's new and all these sorts of things. And this is the best aggregator site out there, Screamscape.com. Updates nearly every day with links to updates on all the parks, domestic and international, with links out to other articles. This is a great summary site that will tell you what's hot, what's new. I check this like every day to find out what's going on. It's a gross website, and I will actually suggest you turn off your ad blocker just for the hoot of it on this particular site, so you can see just how horrible it is when there's no ad blocking on, because it is aggressive. But if you can get past that, it is a great place to find a summary of everything going on in the theme park world. And if you're a nerd like me and want to see that, I recommend you check it out, Screamscape.com. Alrighty.
This is so interesting. I clicked on one of these articles. There are no pictures. You'd think that you would want pictures of theme parks, but it's all like a I guess they link out to YouTube videos sometimes, but it's all very text-based.
It's literally just straight written updates in like a blog form almost, where it's just a couple sentences.
Or like the kind of the thing you'd write to your manager about what you did this week. It's just like, yeah, very interesting.
Minimalist, which is I appreciate, because I usually there aren't a lot of details when something happens. It's just 2 or 3 sentences. Hey, the rumor is this is happening, or just letting you know this is now open. And I'm like, that's really all I need. So it's a very quick way to stay up to date. Dan, let's see what technology you've got for us.
Yeah, so way back a couple of years ago, I think Sean was like, I think this is what you said. The only piece of smart home technology you actually need is a smart garage door opener. Am I putting words in your mouth?
I didn't say that, but it's very smart, so I'm happy to take the credit.
I think you did. Or was it the smart lock? I think maybe it was the smart lock. You're like number one. I think it was a smart garage door opener.
I do miss it. It was a great piece of technology.
I think you were like, all the rest of it's BS, but this is the thing that's actually helpful. So I had a crap. What's the company that makes Chamberlain? I had a Chamberlain whatever.
the MyQ.
Yeah, and it was extremely cheap. Incredibly cheap, but it did not work that well. There was lots of times where it lost connectivity, or it thought the garage door was open, it was closed, thought it was closed when it was open. It was a pain, and there was no HomeKit support. Well, there was that one. Buy our $100 bridge, but then they discontinued that, and you could use it with Homebridge, but it wasn't that great. And so we moved to the new house. I was like, okay, I'm going to go to the Wirecutter upgrade pick that requires a lot more work to get installed, but they claim is way more reliable. This thing is called Tailwind. It's not that much more work. It's laborious, but not difficult work. You have to like string this little wire up along the track. Not hard. And since then, this thing, it responds so much faster. The other one had tons of lag. So there's this rule that I don't know if it's a law or just the thing that people do, where if a garage door is closing, it needs to like notify people in the area that the garage door is closing. The MyQ one was so loud and so obnoxious.
Mm-hmm.
This one's much, it's still noticeable. Like you can still hear it from like the sidewalk, but not like a blaring alarm. I always felt bad coming home from like something at 12:30, and it's like, oh, now I'm gonna close the garage door. Beep, 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 beep. It was terrible. And it has native HomeKit integration and integration with everything you could possibly imagine, and that also works super well. And you can get this little puck that you put in your car. I think if you have non-Tesla cars, this is easier. Classic. But if you don't, you can get this puck that you put in your car, and as soon as you get close to your garage door, it opens. It seems to use GPS. I don't understand the relationship between the puck, the GPS, and the app. Because it like asks you, like, okay, stand in your driveway and click OK, and then that's how I'm going to know when it's time to open your garage door. And like as soon as I turn into the driveway, my driveway is just a little bit longer than the car itself. As soon as I turn into it, the garage door opens. So the Tailwind thing works super well, and it's compatible with basically everything. And they also have a Shopify order page that really abuses their radio buttons. Something about if you have a remote that looks like this, you have to get this other thing from them in supplements. But otherwise, I think it's compatible to pretty much everything.
This looks fantastic. I'm so jealous I don't have a garage anymore. Because this is
I
great.
did not realize that. Yeah,
that was one of my complaints with the MyQ was I could never get the automatic opening to work really well. Whatever sensors it was using, GPS or whatever, it just was not. I would like drive by the street by my house and it would open the garage door. So now that they have something that works better, that's definitely impressive. That's cool.
I should try that. I haven't tried that. I don't think it would trigger it, but we'll have to see.
My total guess. I'm a total moron. My guess is this actually uses Bluetooth. I don't think GPS is sensitive enough, and my guess is they measured the strength of the Bluetooth when your car was in the garage, and it's not when it connects, it's when it has the correct strength that's when it actually triggers it. Don't know if that's true, but because I know that's why I said I used to like IFT and some of that stuff with GPS, turn the lights on when I pull in the driveway, and the GPS was never good enough on my phone to trigger that. So I'm glad they have a better solution. Tailwind. Go tailwind.com. Very cool. Thank you, Dan. I always like seeing what new home gadgetry you've come up with. Colby, in a long line of vague picks, what are you picking this week?
Oh, baby. My pick is just the Apple TV streaming service. We've just been watching a ton of TV on there, and like none of it is bad. in fact, like, not only is it not bad, it's like all of it is pretty good. There aren't that many things that are amazing, but like none of it is bad, which is not something you can say about like Netflix, right? Like, terrible, mostly garbage. Netflix is like the opposite. Like, most of it is totally horrible, and occasionally there's a really good thing. So I don't know. I think it's a good streaming deal. Like, there's not that much stuff, but it's all pretty good. I don't know. Check it out. Ted Lasso's good, obviously.
Yeah, you're of course talking about Jason Momoa in C,
Well,
the show where everyone's blind for some reason.
To be fair, I haven't watched everything on Apple TV Plus.
No, this is great. Apple TV, I think, has got to be one of the few streaming services I haven't gotten sucked into paying for, which probably says more about me than anything else. And there are a bunch of shows I do want to watch. So maybe Colby, you're the one to finally push me over the edge. Can I join your Apple family so I don't have to pay for it?
Sure.
The family
Hey.
plan.
What a deal.
Colby, what have you been watching besides Ted Lasso?
Ted Lasso. Severance was pretty good / weird.
I love Severance.
Yep. We've been watching The Last Thing He Told Me, which has been pretty good so far. Silo has been good so far.
Shrinking?
Shrinking is great. The Foundation was pretty good. Some like epic sci-fi stuff going on. Slow Horses was good.
Did you see the Tetris movie?
I didn't watch the Tetris movie. I don't think I've watched any of the movies.
Have you read the Foundation books, Colby?
Yeah.
Okay.
I sort of don't remember them, if we're being completely honest. But I like watching the show. I was like, yeah, I sort of remember this. Servant was good / weird. The M. Night Shyamalan one. There's like a ton of stuff on here that I have not watched. Bad Sisters was really good.
Did you see For All Mankind?
I watched a couple seasons. I haven't finished For All Mankind. Also, same, like pretty good.
Well, listen, with Succession season finale next week, I'm going to be looking for something to watch. So maybe I can only do one like serious show at a time. And so maybe Apple TV will be my next thing.
Sure.
Nice. Very good, Colby. Thank you. Excellent pick. Great picks all around. Folks should definitely go check those out. We'll link to those on the website. Guys, anything else you would like to talk about or plug or discuss or share with the world this evening? No, they're shaking their heads. Well, listen.
Tapped out.
I will plug away for you. Up for debate, guys. It is the final episode of the Dream Daddy saga being taped this week, in which we have now picked a daddy. We are dating Craig. In last week's episode, we went on our first date. It went pretty well. The question is this week, will we seal the deal? You're going to have to find out on Up for Debate. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get podcasts or at upfordebate.tv. Of course, this show is don'tpanic.io. We'll have links to all those picks on the website in case you forget how to get Apple TV. We'll have the link to the website there. And of course, all the episodes, audio and video. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get podcasts. Look for that big red Don't Panic button with the video version on YouTube. We've never looked better in HD. And I also got to tell you to follow us, don'tpanicshow@gmail.com for Gmail. And of course, on Twitter @don'tpanicshow. But we're going to wrap it up here. I recommend people come back next week. We're going to have another great show. And then I believe the week after that's going to be WWDC. So we're cruising into June full speed, folks. So we appreciate you being here. On behalf of Dan and Colby, I'm Sean. Y'all have a great evening. We'll see you next time on another wonderful episode